I'm Steve Gardner, and today I'm fishing on one of my favourite swims at Petersham Meadow, about 500 yards above Richmond Bridge, where hopefully I'll catch a nice big bag of dace. I'm going to start off today using a 6 metre Milo Delicia pole, very reasonably priced for 6 metre pole. This in actual fact is a prototype which I've not used here before, but it's perfect for this job. Plenty of bites already. Missed that one. We'll see how this goes first. If they come up in the water too much, I'll probably go out on a waggler a little bit further out. No, that's better. Typical size, that. No flow today. Makes life a little bit difficult. It's very difficult to line the fish up. Ah, another one. On the drop. Slightly smaller. Oh, they're even hitting the Olivet now. They're definitely coming up in the water. Try a little bit further out past. Oh, that one on the surface. Smaller fish. See if we can find a nice big maggot. Alright, see if I can cut down on the bait a little bit. These bites are getting very erratic. Lots of missed bites now. Ah, that's better. Ah, perch. Lots of those in the river this year. Plenty of that size. Let's look for that big maggot again. Very important, that for dace. Big and fresh and moving. Ideally, I'd fish a barbless hook. See, it's better bait presentation. But on the pole, I tend to lose a lot of fish on barbless hooks. I prefer to fish a barbed. But when waggler fishing, it's a barbless hook every time on these fish. Preferably an 18 if I can. A little bit of hemp, very important this time of the year, with a lot of roach about. Not touching the maggot, that's a bad sign. Prefer it when the maggots are chewed. They're having it well then. Come on, fish. Ooh, that was right up in the water. Big lift bite on that one. Oh. plenty of those come off. I can remember one match here where I caught 250 and I must have lost 80 that day. Bumped them. Just nick it. Keep it wriggling. That's it. Perfect. This wind's getting it up a little bit. Starting to make life a bit difficult. Oh, what's this? Not sure. Perch, I think. Yeah. Perch, what I thought. Beautiful fish these. Always swallow it. 6 ounce. The size of those planes. Right on the flight path here to Heathrow. It's a good job they don't frighten the fish. Come on, see if we can catch a roach. No. I'll just come in a little bit closer. It's often where a roach sit, away from all the commotion the days make. I tend to find white maggots are as good as anything down here. I'll stick a few reds in now and again, just to try one on the hook. You never know. Gives me an alternative. I like to vary my bait a bit actually, because sometimes fishing doubles and singles, because I'm sure they get used to it. And once I start missing bites frequently, I'll not only alter my line, fish a bit further out, or a bit closer in, whatever. I'll also vary maggots on the hook, 1s and 2s. God, they're coming right up now. Right, so very quick. I might have to switch to a waggler. This wind's getting up, and the fish, they won't come in close enough. What's that? Oh. That was another reel for a minute. It's gone a bit quiet there now. I wonder if some perch have moved in again. No, missed that one. A bit of that hemp out there. Once we have a few frosts and the leaves start to drop, it's pointless using hemp here. It's just straightforward maggots. Pleasure fishing. 2 or 3 pints will do you. But in a competition with everyone in the line, a gallon is nearer what you're going to require. The only problem is the more maggots you throw in, the harder the bites are to hit. But unless you throw in plenty, you're not going to get enough fish there to catch a big bag anyway. Yeah, they've gone silly on me again now. This wind's not helping. It's not really windy, but it's just enough to be a little bit niggly. I'm only using a gram float. I prefer that. That's better. I prefer to use a gram if I can. typical tidal dace. Perfect condition. There's a few boats still up and down the river, even though it's September. Not many people on that one. Come here in August or July and they are a problem. I think they affect the angler more than they do the fish. I think the fish are used to them. It's just with the waves all the time and the water bobbing up and down, it's difficult to not only see the bites but presentation. Oops, there they are. That's a bit better. Right. I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start putting more hemp in and less maggots. It might help me to stop missing these bites. I'm sure sometimes too many maggots, and they all swim round with their mouths full, grabbing at anything. Put some maggots in still, but not as many. That's another one. They won't stop kicking these days. Oh, that one there, I shouldn't think that one's ever been caught before. Absolutely perfect. I would have expected to catch a few more roach by now, but I know they're here. We've had a couple of cold nights just lately and it's probably taken a little bit of colour out of the water, and if there's one thing those roach like, it's colour. Come on, this time, let's see. One of the main reasons you don't catch many roaches, when the dace move in, they're having it so quick and up in the water, and the roach is sitting underneath, and they just don't get a chance to get to it. Normally, the best way to catch the roach is to fish slightly short of your feed and wait. I'll have a chuck closer to see. You never know. Up until the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of perch coming out in with these days, and oh yeah, they seem to have disappeared. You don't catch any in the winter. I don't know where they go. Saying that, I remember a competition last year when a friend of mine had one perch, £3 too. I've never seen a perch as big, and he caught that on a 5-metre whip. And the river had plenty of flow on it as well, so he did very well to get it out. And that's a specimen by anyone's standards. No. Come a little bit closer, and there's nothing there. Oh, I was saying that, what's that? That feels like a perch to me. Definitely. Better fish. Come on, let's see it. Doesn't want to come in, this one. Yeah, nice perch. There's been loads of them this year. Bigger too. Earlier in the year you could have won matches down here with these, let alone the dace. Yeah, a nice fish, that one. That's good. Perfect bite, that one. So I like to hook them top lip. That's the maggots I'm using today. Lots of whites, a few reds, odd bronze. I like to vary them occasionally. A little bit of variety, never hurt anything. I'm also feeding hemp with the odd, very odd grain of tear in it, which I do use occasionally. I'm not a fond lover in tears, but they have been known to win an odd match with roach. I don't think it hurts to throw a few in, and I'll just slip one on the hook now and again. Yeah. Well, fish seem to have died off a little bit now. It's possibly a sign of bigger fish moving. Never know, could be a bream or something come out. There was a big weight of those along here earlier in the year. Just up there actually. 50 odd pound in a match. But like all bream waters, when bream move in, everything else moves out. Yeah, something's definitely happened. What's that? No, another dace. Ooh. Brought that one in too quick. Top lip again. Perfect. What I'm doing at the moment, I'm feeding hemp and maggots, but I don't feed them together, I feed them separately. And I tend to try, especially when the water's moving, I'll feed in two different spots. Hemp being heavier. Oh, it's a bit bigger. Oh. What's this? Roach, I think. No? Not sure. Yes, I'll let this one. That's beautiful. They're the fish I like best, definitely. There's a lot more of these in here than what we ever catch. Conditions have got to be perfect for them. Look at that, lovely roach. There's plenty of them in here. My favourite fish, that. There's nowhere around here though where you can go and catch just roach, apart from the canals. And they're nowhere near as big as that. Yeah, like I was saying, I feed hemp slightly downstream because obviously hemp sinks quicker than the maggots. I'll try to anticipate where the maggots are ending up and feed the hemp to end up in the same position on the bottom. But today there's no flow, or very little. But well, you can miss lots of bites even in the winter when fishing stick float, especially if you hold back and try to slow the bait down. You have to run it at them at the speed of the flow. Up again in the water. Try taking some of this shot up. Might be dropping through them a shade too quick and they're just snatching at it. I'll take this opportunity just to show you what rig I've got on here. I've got a 1 gram papyrus Arno float, which I've painted on the bristle just a little bit, just to make it thicker and more visible. Underneath that, I've got a 3/4 gram tungsten Olivet with 4 number 10 shots underneath it. On the line, I've got, from the tip of the pole down, I've got, down to the hook length, I've got 0.10 Tectan. On the hook length, again, I'm using Tectan, slightly lighter, 0.8. It's a 1.5 pound breaking strain. The main line is about 2.5. The hook is a size 18 Gamakatsu 6315. They tend to be moving out a little bit further. Big old males. Always tell the males, long and thin. Got a few spots in my swim now where I know I can get bites. I don't know why it is, but there's areas out there where I won't get a bite, and other areas where you get a bite every single cast. Yet I know there's maggots lying everywhere. Yeah, every fish is holding it up now. Nice roach. Beautiful. Just wish there was more of these here. Cool. I'll be surprised if that fish has ever been caught before. Yeah. First time. Only trouble with them roach, they're slimy. It's everywhere, all up the line. Even that was up in the water. Yeah, I'm going to have to change to a waggler in a minute. Not even touched the maggot, that one, so we could have another one with that. Yep. Something's definitely not quite right now. Yeah, telltale sign down there. That post is now out the water. My bank stick is right out the water. The water's dropping. And as the water shallows, these fish are moving out. It's definitely going to have to be a go on the waggler soon. I often do that in competitions. Fish just beyond the pole line, especially when the fish start to go a bit shy. The bites die off. There you go. That's it. See what we got here. Right, I'll tell you now. The first thing I've got, the waggler I use, which I've been using for the last year, I suppose, on the Thames, is one of the new image all balsa wagglers. Really, they're designed for canal fishing, but I find that to use them on the Thames for the shy biting days is absolutely perfect. What I tend to do is I have 3BB lock-in, which gives me about 2–2.5 inches of float protruding from the water on as soon as it lands. Underneath this, I have 5 number 10s, which you can see there, strung probably 2 inches apart, followed by a further number 10, 6 inches from the hook. Now what I tend to do with these is move them out a lot, depending on how high the fish come up in the water. And perhaps I'll be able to demonstrate that a little bit more once we start fishing. Reel line is a 2 pound Milo line, a new one. Actually, I've got some here, which is this one. It's developed for English style of waggler fishing. Special English it's called. Very good line, very thin, exceptionally thin, which enables me to fish with a light float and cast further, which is important. Hook length, again, I'm on my old favourite, 0.08 Tectan. Like I was mentioning earlier, on the hooks, size 18 again, but this time a barbless variety. I definitely prefer barbless on a waggler. Firstly, as I said before, better hook presentation of a maggot, and much easier to set the hook at range. Right, rod I'm using, 12 foot. Again, this is a personal preference. I like this particular length. This seems to be the further north the country you go, the longer the rods they use. I know for definite in the Midlands, they much prefer 13. But down here in the south, I don't know why, we just tend to use shorter rods, 12 foot being very popular. Possibly because a lot of the venues down here are a lot shallower. That could be a reason. This rod is a new rod. This is a Milo Rubik's. And actually, I've only used it a couple of times. Very, very nice, very light, very soft tip, but also plenty of power in the middle. If I hook anything big, I've got some power there to give them some welly if need be. The reel I'm using is a Abu 1044 close face reel. I've probably been using these reels now for 15 years, I would think. So anyway, let's see how we get on. I've set this quite shallow to start with because when we finished on that pole, the fish were definitely up in the water. And I'm not going to go out too far, just beyond the pole line. I feel there will be plenty of fish. I'll be expecting a roach here. Yeah, another dace. I can't believe how few people come down here fishing. All this water, and nobody here. A day like today, perfect day for fishing. Let's have a few more just before the tide turns. Because with these spring tides, it's going to come in very quick today. There's one. What's that? Oh, that feels like a bream. Don't know. Could be a bream, this. Don't know. Good fish. No. It's another roach. Is it? Yep. That went very slow to start with. I thought that was a bream. There he is. I know there's plenty out there on those tiers if you're prepared to sit and wait. That's the problem. Perfect. Oh, that's a bigger fish. Yeah, that's definitely a bream this time. Oh, not a big one, but a nice fish, I'm sure. Oh, he's tangled over the line as well. Typical bream. That's him. That's only a skimmer by the standard in here. Some big fish in this section. Perfect. Well, that's as good a way as any to finish the day. The tide's just about to turn, and a nice bream in the net. Lovely. I think I'll call that it. Hi, my name's Steve Gardner. I'm fishing a swim today on the Thames, just below Oxford, just above Radley College, which is about 200 yards downstream here to my right. We hopefully catch roach, chub, perch, all sorts. It's a mixed fishery. We'll start off on a waggler and see what happens. Over there on the far bank there's some hawthorns and some bulrushes. Hopefully we'll get some chub over there later on the feeder. But we'll carry on now from the waggler and see what happens. My initial plan was to fish maggot and hemp. Small hooks, 22s, regular feeding, to catch roach and perch, and later perhaps chub if they moved in. But all that's changed now. Too many bleak, and I've had to, not only have I had to change my shotting pattern, I've had to change my bait as well. As I said before, going on to caster. But even so, they still get through and have it. Change my depth slightly, I think. It's a shade too deep there. I don't like these new shot as much as lead, but we're not allowed to use lead anymore. Used to be able to slide it up the line a lot easier. Even my shotting pattern's not what I would ideally recommend, but with all these bleak about, it's plenty of shot down, I'm afraid. And a bigger float than usual. That's the one thing about fishing with a shot down. You've got to up your size of your float considerably. You must have at least 3/4 of the lead around your float. Yeah, there's bleak topping everywhere now. Even right across on the far bank where I haven't even fished or fed or anything. I don't think the answer is a change of bait. I think it's a change of feeding pattern. This regular feeding is definitely causing problems. That's what I've actually got at the moment. There's a bulk here with 2 number 8s below it, which is try to help me get through those bleak. As I said before, I can't put much more than that down the line, otherwise I'll have to go up on the float size. And being that these fish are shy, I'll only miss bites. We'll persevere with this for a while and see what happens. If it wasn't for these bleak, these roach would be coming now right up to the feed. Yeah, bleak again. And I'll be picking them up on the drop, right on top of where it's water. Oh, that's good. That's better. Unfortunately, we're having to change that. What I'm going to try now is giving it a couple of good blasts of hemp, and then I won't feed for a while. And hopefully the bleak will move out. Yeah, we're having it every time. All right. I don't know what that is, but it's taking it right up in the water. Roach. Perfect fish. Shouldn't think that fish has ever been caught before. In perfect condition. That's the species I would like to catch most today. Gently. Most important to clean that slime off the line before recasting. It is possible that these bleak will go. I'm sure once that happens, we catch plenty of roach. I'm purposely not going to feed again for a while and see if they move out. And they're still there now though. It can be very frustrating. Not being able to fish it the way you want to. It's even worse still if you go out on the feeder and you get pestered by bleak bites on that. That is a nightmare. Yeah. I'm not even shelling the caster now. No, missed that one. I'll let that settle for a while. Just to let you know what rigs I'm on here. What I've actually got here is a 3AA plus Dick leg waggler with a fine insert in the top, which helps to show all the lift bites and hold ups, with 3 AAs locking. I've actually altered my shotting pattern slightly, and I've two number 8s, followed by 2 number 8s, followed by 2 number 8s, and these last 2 I'm splitting up according to how the fish are feeding. But I will pull those together to try and get through quicker if I carry on getting bleaked out like this. Rod again is the old faithful, my new one, a Milo 12-foot Rubik's, and on the end an Abu 1044 close face reel. Now this reel I'd use for this type of fishing, but if I was fishing out further than this, I'd probably go on an open face reel, more like a Browning 810, which I'm quite used to using now. Right. Oh, in case I haven't mentioned, I'm on a size 20 barbed hook. They're all so far up in the water. This water's so clear at the moment that everything is feeding. They're just all coming up in the water trying to get at it first. But the problem is there's more bleak out there than anything else. A nice roach. Lovely fish, that one. Oh, he was hungry. He's taking the hook down. Oh, it looks like a pike's had a go at him. 6 ounce. I'm burying the caster at the moment, but if it wasn't for the... Oh dear. I tangled that then. Yep. Another tangle. Always a problem when it's a face wind. It's a northeasterly at the moment. That was lucky. Or was it? Yep. I'll split those 2 bottom ones up. Right, bait I'm using today. I've got there's a few maggots dropped in it now though. Hemp seed, which normally I would use with casters mixed in with it, which I prefer to do. Not only do I think it all goes through at the same together, but the good point about it is I like to taint the casters with the smell of hemp if I can. So that's one bait I'm using. But the bait I was hoping to use and catch on was bronze maggots. I don't like them too dark, but fresh is the most important thing. Usually I would expect probably to use about 3 pints of maggots and a couple of pints of hemp for a typical day. In actual fact, this is unusual for me. I don't get a lot of opportunity to go pleasure fishing. Most of my fishing is in competition, so it's quite a relaxing day for me. Just hope to catch a few more fish. I think one of the problems we're having with these bleak is due to the fact that there's nobody else out here fishing, and every bleak in the river I think is coming to my swim. Yeah. It's a typical bleak bite. Half the caster chopped in half. You'd have thought that these boats that go up and down here would frighten these bleak and everything away, but they don't seem to. A little roach. Let's have a try on a maggot, see what happens. I'll put my life on it that this next one's a bleak. Whew, straight away. Yeah, it's gone already. Yeah, another roach. Oh, it was a nice fish, this one. Lovely. Yes, this could be the biggest one so far. Ooh, he's gone straight in the weed bed. It's handy. Oh, look at that. Beautiful fish. He was hungry too. "12 ounces of perfect Thames roach." Here you go. Yeah, as I was saying, main line, £2. And I've gone a bit heavy on hook length today because of the chances of hooking a chub, and the chub here can be pretty big, 3-4 pounders are common. So I've opted for a £1.5 hook length, but it's in one of the new fashionable low diameter lines called, and the name of that line is Hectan. It's amazing that all these roach don't spook these bleak. I'm sure if any chub turn up, they will. You probably noticed that I have now strung my shot out. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eighths spread evenly apart down the line. Oh, bait gone. I bet that was a roach. Yeah, I prefer the darker ones for the hook. Don't know what it is. It's hang on the hook better, that's for sure. Big dark ones. Oops. Let's get that in there. That's it. Right, come on, roach. I was hoping we might have caught a chub by now. So, yeah, there's still plenty of bleak. It's no good. I'm going to have to go on a feeder. Let's call that. See if we can get some bigger fish. Fancy a chub or two now. Right. Let's get this set up. Important to get comfortable on this. Let's just check that's all right. That'll do perfect. Nothing in my way. That's it. Right. I'm going to start off on a maggot feeder today, and that could be a problem because of the bleak. But what I've actually got on here is a sort of medium-sized Drennan feeder, which I have actually modified myself. I can show you quickly what I've done. I've taken out the centre, well, what would you call it, a plastic adapter, which you fit onto the main line, and replaced that with a swivel in the top cap, just here, and power gum running through the middle, which I've doubled over to give it extra strength. I've then knotted this behind the cap. Now, on most feeders, people load up from the top, but on here I've reversed it and I'm loading up from the base. The main reason I do this, in the net again, I'll partly piece that. The main reason I do this is that once the cap does start to wear loose, it's always being pushed on when casting because that part of the feeder is going first. So I don't have any problems with my cap sliding off, even once the top's worn out, which happens quite quickly. Main line on here is 4 pound. I don't mess around when I'm feeder fishing, unless the river's pulling very, very hard, and then I might fish a lighter line with a shock leader, because the lighter line, obviously being thinner, is less resistance to the tow. Hook length, I've upped it here because we're chub fishing now. 2 pound, a 2 pound water queen line, which I've been using for a couple of years now, which is very, very, very strong, very supple, very thin. On the end of this, a size 21 90340 barbless hook. This very, very good for chub. One of my favourites. Another reel which I'm very fond of, Browning 810. I use this not only for feeder fishing, but I also use it for float fishing at long range, large, big waggler. And sometimes on stick float I use it when I'm fishing fast flowing rivers for chub, not many bites, because the main reason for that being that the line comes off the spool very smooth, I have no interruptions and I can follow through right to the end of my peg. And if you're only fishing for a few fish, 8, 10 chub maybe in a day, then presentation is very important. And for this reason I do always use an open face reel as to a close face, which I find you do get line binding and it's not such a smooth pull off. So it affects your trotting and your presentation. And the rod, well this rod I must have had for 7 or 8 years now, and I still believe it's the best rod on the market. It's an 11-foot Normark feeder rod, and it's the number 2 tip, which is carbon, which I prefer for this type of fishing. They do two tips with this rod. One is glass, which is slightly softer, but I just prefer the carbon one. I use that probably 9 times out of 10. Right, let's spade up and see what happens. 2 maggots to start with. There. I've had days when first chuck in it's gone, straight away chub. On other days I've sat there for 2 or 3 hours with nothing and then they've moved in. Now on the far bank here, there's a set of reeds. but I'm going to cast to them, but not right to them, short to start with. Now, I work on the theory, if I've got a feature such as a bed of reeds or a tree, then that's where them chub will be living. And what I would imagine the chub to be feeding it would be away from this tree or out into the open water. Now if they're not, I would then fish closer, but I always find it's an advantage to fish short to start with and catch them there for a number of reasons. Mainly, if you do fish close, obviously there's a lot of snags because chub like snags and that's where they live, and they're very prone to diving in them. But if you can catch them out from that place where they live, you've got a good chance of getting them out. That's a chub. I'll be careful here that it doesn't get in these reeds below me. It's going in deep. Whoa. There's a snag there, it's just gone in. That's what I thought, straight in the reeds. Perfect. That's what we've been looking for. A chub. Not a very big one, but nevertheless, of course, it's right in the corner. That's it. A Thames chub. Can't mistake these. The difference between these and dace, apart from the size, is a concave fin here. On the dace, it's the opposite way around. Otherwise, the mouth. Slip him in there. I reckon we get some more now. Right. Around the tip somehow. Let's get that off. That's it. Double maggot, that one. Once they move in, everything else should go, all the small fish. Oh, that's a chub. Oh, that's much bigger, this one. Yeah. God, it wants to get under that other bank. Now it's going downstream. I'll try and keep him here, up here, these reed beds below me, because he's definitely going to go in there. Don't you dare. Keep out. Doesn't want to come up, this one. Oh yeah, that's much, much bigger. It's got to be £4, this one. And he's been in the reeds, look at him. That's better. Ugh. That's it. That's the one. Beauty. Corner of the mouth again. Beautiful fish. Slip him in the net. Lovely fish. What more could you ask for? Let's have a look and see what we caught. Let's get that rod out of the way. Plenty of roach in there, look at that lot.